Hey everyone, this is Maribel. I'm a counselor at Merced Adult School, and this week we're going to be talking about grief, understanding grief, and how to cope with it. So, why did I start want to talk about grief? Because I feel like we all experience loss. If we love something very deep, it can be even that much harder because you could lose something, right? So I think whether we've lost a loved one, bereavement, um, whether we've lost a relationship, could be romantic, it could be a friend or friend. It could be being diagnosed with a terminal illness. Um, it could be our freedom, maybe to be able to go out into the world without looking like ninjas. That could be some kind of loss of being able to, I would say, our recess time, we've lost that, right? So I think it'd be a good idea to understand how to cope with loss, because grief is um, not a task, I would say. I think grief is being able to cope with loss, but in reality, you're coping with change, a serious change. Because grief, it's definitely a roller coaster ride. When you lose someone, it's not a step by step, first this and this. Nope, it's a roller coaster ride. Sometimes a high or low, and it's really different for everyone. Um, we all go through different things, and you would say it could take us days, it could take us weeks, months, years, or a lifetime to really grieve a loss. And there's no right or wrong, right? So I would like to talk about the stages of grief, which in reality it's something that from the, I guess, 60s, 1969 or something, that it was it's Kupler's Ross model. But I feel like there's, obviously it's not everyone's, but it's definitely a point to help you understand, you know, help learn how to deal with your emotions and understand what to expect, what's going on, knowing that you're not alone, being able to help others cope with grief. It's good to know these stages. So that's what I want to talk about. Okay, so one stage, again, they're in no particular order, because remember, it is a roller coaster ride, but these are some stages you might go through if you're going through some loss. So usually the first reaction is denial, shock. You can't believe it's happening. You're like, you can't accept the news. You're confused. You're numbed. Um, and you're really denying reality. It's it's a common defense mechanism to refuse the loss of of what's really happening. So it's shocking, you know, um, and you don't want to take it in, because you don't want to believe that you've lost a person with death, or you can't believe that what you had all this time, a relationship that 10, 15 years, 20 years, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, if you get lucky, living into your hundreds, maybe even more. You don't want to accept that. You don't want to even acknowledge it. That's denial stage. Another stage is anger. Well, now that you've were in shock and you were in denial, you're starting to take things in. So now you're gonna go through, guess what? Pain. So now it's hurting, like, oh my God. When you get hurt, you just, like, you're bleeding, but you're not, it doesn't hurt. You're like, what? It's just happened. You're in shock, right? Well, now you're feeling the pain. You're like, oh crap, I'm bleeding. Okay, now it's hurting, right? Now you're processing. So now if there's pain, And if you don't know, that's where anger comes, because anger is a secondary emotion. And but the primary emotion is pain. So you're hurt, and it starts looking like anger. And so you start resenting other people, blaming other people, um, redirecting that hurt towards other people, those around you, your loved one, doctors, whatever it is. You start blaming everyone else because it hurts and it's painful. And because it's painful, you get angry. So when you see an angry person, understand that they're they're upset. They're going through some pain. Okay? And this is in general, right? When you see anger. Then you're looking at bargaining. And how does this look like? So you're trying to regain control through a series of if only statements. Is it definitely a line of defense to protect us and from the painful reality? So you're like, what if I would have taken care of them? What if I would have spent more time with them? What if I wouldn't have said this? What if I wouldn't have, whatever it is, you start giving yourself scenarios and like, could have, you want to bargain, whether you want to bargain with a higher power, if that's God for you, you want to change the situation, you want to work miracles to change the situation, whether you lost a relationship, a friend, or a loved one. Or if you're diagnosed with a terminal illness, you're like, what if I would have eaten better? What if I would have taken care of myself better? Like, that's what bargaining looks like. And then we're looking at depression, loneliness. Remember that anger, when you take it around towards others, now depression, it's anger towards yourself. So you have this deep sadness and regret. In this grief stage, you're isolating from others, you're feeling foggy, heavy and confused, and stuck. You want to be alone and deal with this pain and change on your own. So you keep to yourself and isolate. And I know you see this also with animals. It's weird, but that is, and it's not clinical depression, but this is definitely a stage, because some people want to cope on their own, right? And then the last stage we're looking at, last but not least, remember these feelings and stages are just a reference point. It's not for everyone, but it definitely could help you understand more. It's acceptance. So this is your goal. Your goal is to be able to reach the acceptance, the end game. Accept the loss of a part of your life and understand the loss happened and you can't change it. It's hard to get here. And at some point you will just accept it and try to move on with your life. And there will be times when the memory will trigger back to a certain feeling, and you might go through all these stages. And remember, people pace themselves through these stages differently. Some people take long, like I said, weeks, days, weeks, and then months and years, and people forever. But how do you deal with all this? Like, other than understanding these stages, how do you deal with it? Remember, you can't judge people by how they process grief. I remember one time they said, like, why aren't you crying? How can you be so put together? Like, you can't judge a person because they are put together when they've lost someone. And just because they're laughing, just because in front of you, doesn't mean that they're not grieving. So make sure you don't judge people, because you don't know how they grieve. Again, there's no particular order in the stages of this, and a journey could be all over the place. But one thing is, don't be afraid of pain. It's unfortunately, grief is painful and is part of life. And if you ever love something, the more you love, the harder it is, the more of crazy emotional roller coaster you're going to go through. So be patient with yourself and be gentle. Keep things simple if you're going to grieve. Like, have time and space to grieve, but don't obsess over it. Have rituals, write, create videos, sing. I remember I would process by singing karaoke and a song over and over. Create like walks. Maybe your ritual could be everyone's ritual. You know, have things in mind and honor your loved ones, or honor whatever you had a way that you can. Like, it's a positive thing. As long as what you're doing, your rituals are a positive thing and leaning towards maybe opportunities, look at it as an opportunity, that's healthy. And don't let anyone tell you, well, it's been 5-10 years, why haven't you moved on? It doesn't matter. Like, as long as what you're doing is positive for you, for those around you, and don't let anyone judge you. Distract yourself. Make sure to seek support if you need it, whether it's a friend, a mentor, and if that's just too much, then go reach out for professional help, whether it's a support group, grief support group, if you don't want to do one-on-one yet, or the opposite, if you want to do more one-on-one, talk to a therapist to help you deal with those emotions and cope with them. They'll give you tools, you know. Sometimes just talking it out helps, you know. So, but the most important thing is take care of you, okay? Self-care is the most important. What do you need? Do you need to exercise? Do you need to go on a retreat? Do you need to have a girls' night? Let it out. Don't keep it in, because that's where depression comes in. It happens, you will go through some depression, but get out, reach out again, because it's okay. And it's okay to not be okay. I don't know if you've heard that before. It's okay to not be okay. Just make sure you reach out, maybe post it on Facebook, Snapchat, and reach out and just let it out. They'll help you cope with a loss. Like right now, we're coping through the loss of being able to go to restaurants and Disneyland and just places vacationing because, you know, what's going on. But how can you change that? How can you make that an opportunity for something else that you can do? Create videos, you know, learn how to cook, you know. So so make sure you reach out. You don't have to be alone to go through this grievance, through this grieving process. It's good to reach out. So I'm going to leave you with this. Remember, grieving is a personal process that has no time limit, nor one right way to do it. So whatever you're going through, let it out. It could take it at your own pace. Do what you need to do, whatever rituals. But just wanted to know that there's some stages in understanding that you might be able to help someone else that might be going through some stuff, you know, especially if you see that they're angry all the time. Remember that they're in pain when they're angry. And you maybe just give them space and time and understand them. So hopefully this video helped you guys a little bit understanding grief and how to cope with grief. Remember, it's the loss of anything. It doesn't have to be bereavement, like the loss of a death one. So hopefully you got something from this video. Give me a thumbs up, or leave a comment. Remember, everything I talk about, any resources, I always put a link in the description below. So look at my description. Usually tells you a little bit more about what this video is all about. So until next week, have a good day.